Yo, what's up, everybody? Dr. D, heart. Welcome to another podcast at Biohacks, but today we're going to talk about your heart. Your heart is so important. Listen, your heart's not working. That's it. That's all she wrote. And the thing is, we don't pay too much attention to our heart health and just kind of like, oh, hope for the best, you know? So the thing is, heart health has been improving over the last few years. We have been being able to survive longer, less amount of heart attacks, etc. And to tell you the truth, over the last, call it a little over 100 years, our average lifespan has doubled, which is great. And I personally think that we're going to live longer. I think we're coming close to a phase where, or an era where we're going to be able to hit like 120 years of age with a lot of quality of life. I personally think, and obviously you guys know that's going to be my goal, or it is my goal. But the thing is, if your heart goes kaputski, so do you. If your heart's out for the count, so are you. And the thing is, you know, it's not like another, oh, I tore my bicep. No, your heart, it can't stop pumping and ticking. And you know what? And I want to take the opportunity just to thank God for everybody's heart right now that's beating and that we can be alive. Because just think about it. All it has to do is to stop pumping. It's so crazy. So sometimes we get caught in the rush of every day. So maybe just put your hand over your heart and just be grateful for your heart pumping. And I don't know why I'm saying this right now, but it's something so beautiful, right? Your heart is God's gift to you. And your heart, all it has to do for you not to be alive is to stop pumping. And it's this organ that lets you know it's there. All you have to do is touch your pulse and you'll feel that it's there. Isn't that crazy? The essence of life, the core of where everything comes from all your vitality, your energy is right there. And it lets you feel that it's there pumping for you. So be grateful for it. Be grateful for every beat it gives you. But with that said, you need to be responsible about your heart and take care of it. And we live in this day and age that everybody tells you, oh, my cholesterol's high, or the doc tells you your cholesterol's high, and, you know, take a statin and et cetera. So let's talk about this stuff. So why are we scared about cholesterol? Why is the whole thing with cholesterol such an important thing, right? The thing is, we've been told for a really long time that high cholesterol is bad for you. And you know what I'm seeing? There's a small group. Okay, think of it as like politics, right? There's a small political group that's like, hey, guys, cholesterol's not the culprit. But then there's these other big groups, right? Like, you know, saying that cholesterol is the culprit, cholesterol's a culprit, cholesterol's a problem. So I'm going to tell you something. 80% of your cholesterol is made by your own body. You want to explain that to me? 80% of your cholesterol is made by your own body. Every cell in your body uses and makes and loves cholesterol. Explain that to me. You think God put something inside of you and be like, I'm going to make this perfect human, but I'm going to put this little thing inside of them called cholesterol that's really bad for them. So if you ask, for example, where is cholesterol used? Where do you use cholesterol? Well, cholesterol is used in all the cells. The wall of the cell, it's called this phospholipid bilayer. It's the cell of the wall. There's a ton of cholesterol in there. What else is so important where you'll find cholesterol? If you just go give this a Google, cholesterol to testosterone pathway, cholesterol to estrogen pathway, cholesterol to progesterone pathway, cholesterol to DHA pathway, cholesterol to all your hormones. So the steroidogenesis, your steroids, wait, what'd you say, doc? Steroids? I don't do steroids. No. Your steroid hormones. Okay? I'm not talking about the steroids in the gym. That's crap. I'm talking about your steroid hormones. Estrogen, progesterone, 11-deoxycorticosterone, and there's all these androstenedione, cortisol, pregnenolone. All of them come from cholesterol. Really? So if I drop my cholesterol levels, does it impact my hormones? Yes. So I need good cholesterol levels to make good hormones? Yes. I already know some of you guys are like, wait a minute, I didn't know about this. Exactly. Cholesterol is the father of all your steroid genesis. So all your steroid hormones get made from cholesterol. If the first little hormone that comes out of it is pregnenolone, and then it kind of breaks into different pathways, et cetera, and you have your sex hormone, the ones that control your blood pressure, the ones that control, I mean, so many things. Okay, so many things. Even vitamin D, which should not be called vitamin D. It should be called hormone D. Vitamin D is a hormone. It's not a vitamin. I don't know why they call it a vitamin, but it's part of that family. So cholesterol is super important for you. But they tell you your cholesterol's high. It's your heart. I'm going to tell you something. Another point. Cholesterol and heart disease, they are kind of, they're involved with each other. But just because, let me give you an example. Just because you see a fireman at a fire scene where there's like an actual fire, you see a fireman, you're like, ha, it's the fireman. It's the fireman guy. He's the one that caused the fire. It's like, no. The fireman's there to quell the fire, put out the fire. No. It's the fireman. I see the fireman at the fire scene. He's the one that is causing the fire. Isn't it? So now there's a group of people. It's like, get rid of the firemen because they cause fire. It's like, no. Cholesterol is at the murder scene. Cholesterol is at the fire. Cholesterol is at the crime scene. But doesn't mean he's the bad guy. Okay? So what do I mean by this? Let's talk about a recipe. So why are we scared about cholesterol? We're scared about atherosclerosis. So let's talk about the atherosclerosis recipe. What's atherosclerosis? My friends, atherosclerosis is plaque. Plaque. Plaque that clogs the arteries and kills you. So before, I thought I was going to be a trauma surgeon. I lived in the OR. I loved surgery. And I've been in all kinds of gazillion of surgeries, both watching, I assisted in a couple of them in med school, etc. And yeah, I obviously did not become a trauma surgeon, but for all the trauma surgeons out there, my respect. I think you guys have like the coolest profession. Like if you ask me, what is the coolest profession in the world? Two things for me. Like I think it's like super cool. Trauma surgeons and fighter jets. I mean, that's it. I think you guys should have like bigger houses in heaven or something. I don't know. I think it's super cool. But anyways, that was just the big kid in me talking. Anyhow, so being in these surgeries, like I remember seeing like people with plaque in their carotids. It looks like this piece of mozzarella. Plaque looks like just this. It looks like garbage. It literally looks like garbage when they're like opening the artery and taking that stuff out. So the problem is you have these major arteries that will clog. Which are they? The coronaries in the heart, the carotids in your neck, which causes strokes, right? And then you'll have, and then eye issues too. Like the first branch of the carotid is the ophthalmic artery. So you're gonna have, the internal carotid. The first branch is ophthalmic artery. So to the eyes, right? To all your neurological stuff, right? The aorta also clogs up, especially if you were, it's actually in the USPSTF, so United States Preventative Service Task Force. That is a recommendation. Guys, if you were ever if you ever smoked and you're over 65 years old, you should have covered by insurance an abdominal ultrasound to your aorta to check the health of your aorta, right? So your aorta also collects, very known to collect plaque, popliteals, which is behind your knee, and then your internal iliacs, which are in your groin area. So those are your major, like, let's keep an eye on these guys. And why? Then, how we were taught in school, cholesterol. Cholesterol is going to cause the plaque, get on a statin so you don't have the plaque. Right. A bunch of bogus. So let's go back to the recipe concept. Recipe. How do you cook this plaque? So in order for you to cook this plaque, okay, think of it as like you're cooking a lasagna. All right, homemade lasagna, pasta, sauce, tomatoes, tomato sauce. I don't know how to cook, but I'm sure there's like some cheese and stuff like that, right? Cholesterol, is it even part of the recipe? Only oxidized cholesterol. So oxidized, which means rusted, right? Rusted cholesterol is going to be part of the recipe. It's not correct to say rusted. So oxidized cholesterol. So that's when you want to look at specific markers like oxidized LDL. You could go to your doctor and ask them to check you for OX-LDL. Because also LDLs aren't bad for you. LDLs, HDL and LDL, they're doing the same thing. They're just taking particles away and particles to the liver. That's it. They're carrier molecules, right? So they're taking particles away into the liver all day long. So the thing is, what kind of LDL, right? You have multiple kinds of LDLs. They go by size and particle numbers. So you want to do something also called lipoprotein fractionation, where you start to understand the size of those LDLs, okay? Because that's the problem. You don't want these little tiny LDLs that get stuck in cracks, let's say, okay? So in cooking, again, recipe. In cooking the plaque, all right? And cooking that plaque in the recipe, oxidized LDLs, oxidized cholesterols, those are bad for you, okay? And there are some people that will have higher levels of something called LDL little a or lipoprotein A. Same thing, LDL little a. So two things you want to measure in your blood, oxed LDL, LP little a or LDL little a or lipoprotein little a. It's just LDL little a. Just don't forget that. You could just Google this later or whatever. But that one is definitely one that you want to measure. And ApoB too. ApoB is super important. ApoB is one that's also connected to formation of plaque. You don't want ApoB at 0. There is a disease, there is a type of disease where you, A-beta lipoproteinemia, where you actually have no ApoB and it's bad for you. So it actually is a disease. Some people are born with a genetic issue where they don't produce ApoB, and it is a problem. So you want some levels of ApoB, okay? But again, in cooking that plaque, there's various things that are important. Now, so if you ask me, what's even greater of greater importance in cholesterols are toxins. Toxins are very important. So there's various toxins that are connected with formation of plaque, okay? And that's where I want to lead the conversation to. But even before I get into toxins, I want to talk to you guys about imaging. Because one thing is, as we try to deduce from a PDF, meaning from the PDF that has your blood work results on it, right? Because you go to your regular doctor, it's going to say cholesterol, LDL, VLDL, if you're lucky, right? HDL, and triglycerides. Triglycerides bad for you? Yes, you want to keep your triglycerides low because it can mean insulin resistance. Which if you divide triglycerides by HDL, it's more than 2. Then that's a sign of insulin resistance, and you want to then go down the path of insulin resistance, which we're going to talk about that in a second, because diabetes is the number one risk factor for heart attacks, right? Myocardial infarction, diabetes. You don't want to have diabetes, which, by the way, 38% of the youth of our country is either diabetic or pre-diabetic, which is wild. I mean, think about this for a second. 77% of young adult males are not apt to be accepted by the U.S. military. They won't make the government cut, the military cut for the government. So 77% of men out there that are grown up to be our young men cannot protect us in an event of a war. How crazy is that if you think about that for a second? So when looking at diabetes and insulin resistance, they play a huge role in also heart attacks and formation of plaque. So sugar is a big issue. Sugar is a problem. All these processed, refined carbohydrates, et cetera, that's the real culprit. That's the big issue, okay? And before, I give you guys the big way to check on plaque for you guys, I just want to set the tone real quick. Back 50, 60 years ago, we spent $0 in chronic care. $0 in chronic care. Today, we spend $4.3 trillion per year in chronic care. The budget for our health systems is bigger than the budget for our defense departments, which is wild. I actually thought we would spend more money on those fancy jets and et cetera, which is great. Yes, so I think we should have the best military in the world and go America. But it's wild to me that we spend more money in health and we are the worst ones at it in the world. We're the worst ones at it in the world. And every time your taxpayer dollars, every time you give your money, you pay your taxes, I want you to know something. 40% of that money goes into health-related things, of which 90% of those health dollars are spent in chronic care. Think about that. Think about that. And then the autism rates, right? So they say 1 in 10,000 kids was autistic back in 1970, which wasn't even really 1 in 10,000. They conducted one of the largest epidemiological studies of the time, and in fact, it was 0.8 to 10,000 kids was autistic. So it wasn't even 1 to 10. Okay, so and now today it's 1 in 31. In the state of California, it's 1 in 19. And this one's tough. And in the state of California, it's 1 in 12.5 boys is autistic. Think about that for a second. So there's definitely something in the water quote unquote, allegorically speaking, there's definitely something in the water. Something here is not right. So same thing goes for the formation of all diseases. And I hope I just set a tone for you guys, because there's no interest, and I hate to be this blunt and honest, there's no interest for you to be healthy, because if all of us got healthy, we'll crash the stock market. The food system fights to get you healthy. The pharmaceutical system fights to keep you sick. So think about that for a second. So as it relates to heart attacks, cholesterol, and all this stuff, that narrative also, if you think of it logically, is probably fits right in to all these statistics I just said to you, right? And these are actual statistics that the government now has been putting out. All this data has been put out by the government. I'm not making this stuff up. So when looking at all these chronic diseases, you have to really start thinking, what's the whole narrative? And with that, once you understand there's something there that's not making too much sense, is when you start questioning what really is bad for you. Is cholesterol bad for you? And are the medications suggested good for you? And the thing is, so now if you're worried about cholesterol, if you're really worried about cholesterol and plaque, because if you're worried about cholesterol, it's because you're worried about clogging your arteries. So if I'm worried about clogging, my major arteries, coronaries, carotids, popliteal, aortic, and iliacs, and then another big one, small vessel disease, right? Because sometimes it's not the big arteries, but for the neurologists out there, et cetera, like people are having like their brain processing power, their brain power is decreasing because the end of the little arteries in their brain is all getting clogged. So you have all this small vessel disease, and your cognition starts to decline, etc. So that's also a big thing. So you just don't want plaque. So if you're worried about that, why don't you go take inventory on the plaque that you have? So for example, I'm a huge fan of Clearly Health. You guys could go to their website. I have no association to them whatsoever. If you come to our 50-state licensed telehealth company, what we'll do is find you a place where you can go do it. So it's a laboratory that I do not own, I'm not involved with, and we'll write you a script for free if you're one of our members. If you just pay our membership fee, whatever, this is something we stay on top of our clients. Hey, go do your full body MRI, go do your Clearly, go do, let's follow up on these things. So your Clearly is great because it's way better than calcium scores. So calcium scores are old because it just tells me how calcified your arteries are. And I've seen over and over and over where calcium scores are 0, and then a said artery has 30% occlusion on a Clearly test, 40, 20%, etc. You see what I'm saying? And then 50% of heart attacks occur with less than 50% occlusion. Think about that for a second, because they tell you, no. It's like, for example, the carotid arteries, right? So this is so crazy. They tell you that you're only supposed to intervene, like surgically, when you have more than 80% occlusion with no symptoms, or 70% occlusion with symptoms, which is wild to me. It's absolutely wild. So the thing is, let's talk about plaque. Plaque can be calcified. So I already told you how to see the plaque, right? Calcium scores are old, which is for the heart, to see how much calcium is in the heart. Clearly Health. It's an artificial intelligence test for the heart. All right, you could do calcium angiography, coronary angiography, but Clearly uses AI. It's basically a coronary angiography with AI. So it gives you a lot more data, okay? So when looking at the plaque, there's 3 kinds of plaque. There's calcified plaque, which is it's not a great sign, but it's a good sign, because it means the body sees the plaque, sees the soft plaque, and it has been able to calcify that plaque. So plaque effectively is not flying off into downstream, distally to that blood vessel, or downstream to that blood vessel. Okay, so that's good. Then you have soft plaque, which is good, which is easier to reverse, etc., but easier to fly off. So you're like, I don't know about how much I like this plaque being here. And then you have soft and inflamed plaque. And that's the one that's like, whoa, let's be careful, because this plaque can really, really fly off and cause downstream effects to that vessel and basically clog that muscle, and that muscle stops working. So with that in mind, you want to understand the health of your your arteries inside, right? And so the endothelium, right? That's that fancy word. Endothelium means the wall of the artery. So you want to understand the health of that endothelium. And now there's a topic, guys. This is like very avant-garde, brand new kind of new vibes in medicine, which is the glycocalyx. The glycocalyx is like the latest and greatest kind of topic in medicine, which is kind of like the slimy layer above the endothelium, right? There's these new areas of medicine and new kind of even like organ systems, not to digress too much, but like even like the fascia. Fascia is really cool. It's like this electrical conduction system all over your body, right? Has nothing to do with this plaque stuff, I'm telling you guys. But like same thing, glycocalyx is another cool area that, if you're in med school, or nurse practitioner, whatever, you're in some healthcare course, they're probably not going to teach you much or anything about the fascia and the glycocalyx. But if you really want to push yourself and be ahead of the game, really go learn about the glycocalyx and the fascia. Just a little side suggestion for our young professionals. But so the glycocalyx is very important because the glycocalyx is the first layer that gets damaged, but it's also the first, we could repair that layer. And there's a lot of things that can repair these things, okay? There's products out there and natural products that could repair these things. There's great products that I've been studying and that I really like. Some of them based off of seaweed, which is interesting. A lot of interesting things, interesting properties, et cetera, found in seaweed. But there's products like, for example, Arteriosil, Revasca, and then there's companies that are dedicated to making glycocalyx type products that will rescue your glycocalyx. There's one product I really like called Glinocalyx. Glinocalyx, very, very cool. Again, I have no interest in these. The companies don't even know who I am, so I have no interest with these companies. But it's these products that I'd like to shout out. And keep in mind, I only compound stuff in compounding pharmacies. For me to actually say a product that's not made in a pharmacy is good is pretty wild. Okay, I don't usually do that. Or at all. To tell you the truth, I don't think there's anything else outside of these couple of products I just named that I would actually shout out. And again, I have no interest in them. I just have interest in helping you guys. So if you're really curious about your heart health, you must do a Clearly test. I would really do Clearly tests, so Clearly, obviously you should, yearly I do a Clearly, I do echocardiography, and I like to do a ZO patch. So a ZO patch is the sticker you put over your heart. It's a clunky sticker, but it's a sticker. And it checks my heart, how it's beating over 10 to 14 days. I love the ZO patch too, just to check the rhythm of your heart. Because honestly, what can go wrong? Electrically can go wrong. So that's where you want to check the rhythm of your heart. The structure of your heart can go wrong. So how I like to say, the walls and the doors, et cetera, that could be a little bit of an issue. So that's where you do an echocardiography, which is the ultrasound to your heart. Traditional doctors do this all the time, and they're amazing experts at it. And you want to check the plumbing system, what it looks like, right? So it's kind of like a house. So you want to check the plumbing system. What do? You do a Clearly test. I really like the Clearlys. So Clearly for plumbing, echocardiography for doors, hinges, walls, etc. for structural heart disease. And that's where they diagnose like congestive heart failures and things like that. Dilated cardiomyopathy, restrictive cardiomyopathy, all these crazy, structural heart diseases. And then you want to check for the electrical system. Okay, so, and that's where you have all these wearables, right? Like your Whoops, your Oura Rings, etc. They're basically making all these deductions on your health, deducing all these things on your health with regards to your health based off of how your heart's beating, how fast, and the rhythm of your heart, right? So rate and rhythm. Anywho, there's so much to unpack here, guys. So much. But now let's talk about the biggest culprits for your heart health, which is toxins. Toxins all the way from seed oils. First company that created seed oils in the United States, 1915, are not so much friends. Crisco. Crisco was the first vegetable oil company. So that's garbage. Seed oil companies, guys, get rid of seed oils. You should be cooking with tallow. And be careful with coconut oils. Be careful with avocado oils. They're great. The problem is they come tainted. They come dirty many times. Very dirty. These products, they like to commercialize them. Understand, there's terrible, bad marketers in the health space, in the food space. So is coconut oil good for you? Yes, it's wonderful. It's the best. There's even some studies. I'm not going to quote them right now. I don't remember them. They just came to mind while I was speaking. Off of the coast, off in the Pacific Islands, these people are super coconut based in everything that they do. And then when these people move to Australia, New Zealand, more industrialized places, they start to manifest all these types of diseases. But coconut oil is phenomenal for you. But you have to make sure it's the real stuff. Same thing with avocado oil. Avocado oil is great. Beef tallow, et cetera, it's a little less tampered with for now. It's a smaller industry, et cetera. So I would still try to buy myself some pure, real good beef tallow and cook with that stuff. And obviously real ghee butter, great for you too to cook with, et cetera. I'm not going to tell you how to cook it and when do you need what, because I am terrible at cooking. I can blow up my kitchen just by looking at it. So we're going to stop right there. And I hope you have somebody in your family, friends, or somebody you could talk to about cooking, because I don't know when do you use what. Okay, so sorry about that. But as it relates to oils, do not use seed oils, guys. Do not use seed oils. Eat real butter. Eat good fats. And we're living in a day and age where the food pyramid just got flipped upside down. So now we know that we've been eating wrong. Guys, Fruit Loops was out at the top of the food pyramid. Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid. That's not food. See, you get desensitized every day by people giving you all this garbage for you to digest and all this great marketing with foods, and they say they put vitamins in these cereals, etc., and you get desensitized, and you talk to your girlfriend, you talk to your bros, and what are you giving your kids? And my kids love this stuff, etc. But what you are doing, you are effectively poisoning your family. It's not a food system, it's a chemical system. Do you understand what I'm saying? America forgot how to cook. America forgot how to sit down as a family and have a meal. But cooking and sitting down and having a meal is one of the most sacred things that God will ever give you. That's why even King Solomon says in the Bible, he's like, what's all this toiling for? What's all this work for? It's just chasing of the wind. Real happiness, and I'm paraphrasing if you will, is basically sitting down at the table and eating and drinking with the people God gave you. That's really what it is. But if that moment doesn't exist, if you're not eating real foods, if you're not preparing those foods, those real whole foods, you're probably reaching into some frozen processed food crap and giving it to your family. And then don't complain that you guys are sick. Don't complain that you're not achieving the results that you want to achieve. Don't complain your kids aren't scoring well. Don't complain about the mental health, the ADHDs, etc. Get rid of these bad foods and watch even your family's health improve. There's a guy in the University of Harvard, I forgot his last name right now, Chris something, and he's doing work on reversing or improving schizophrenia to up to 30%, improving schizophrenia up to 30% based off of ketogenic diet, guys, which is insane. It's insane. So diet really reflects a lot on mental health. It's very connected to your gut, etc. So, but going back, staying true to the point of the podcast here today, guys. Very important. It's very, very important to understand that toxins play a massive role. And I'm talking about the toxins that you're getting from your cars. So the stuff you're breathing, guys, if it smells funny, more than likely it's a toxin in the air. I will tell you that. Your perfumes, God gave you a sense of smell for a reason, but we just, we don't use our sense of smell as a gauge for danger. But to tell you the truth, a lot of what you're smelling that you're putting into that sense, with that sense into your body, is a problem. So toxins wreak havoc, guys. There's many toxins connected to plaque and formation of heart of plaque in the heart. So it's important to understand that you need to take inventory on toxins and to even chelate these things out. Okay, because a lot of these toxins you can chelate out with infrared sauna, use a good chelating agent like charcoal, zeolite, fulvic acid, humic acid. I don't have time to get into all this stuff right now, but a lot of these toxins, you can chelate these toxins out, guys, which is phenomenal. It's actually, it's pretty cool. And there's other things coming, that have come into our existence recently, like COVID spike protein. Nope, and it doesn't matter if you took the vaccine or you didn't take the vaccine. We're actually coming to a point where we're going to be able to tell if the vaccine, if the your spike protein is coming from the vaccine, if it's coming from the virus, or if it's coming from a bacteria. What'd you just say? Bacteria? Yeah. The spike protein, the virus itself is actually a bacterial phage. It infects bacteria, lives within the bacteria. Like many viruses do this, by the way, guys. They're bacterial phages. So the virus hijacks the bacteria's machinery, reproduces itself, and just keeps reproducing itself from the machinery of that bacteria. And the bacteria just becomes a zombie and is under the control of that virus. And guess what? It hijacks your good bacteria in your gut. So you have to treat your gut to get rid of this spike protein. And a lot of people with these issues of long COVID, so then they're having neurological disease, they're having plaque buildup, etc. And maybe I'll tell you guys this story at some other time, but I'm a victim of long COVID. I definitely had that. I definitely had issues with the spike protein, etc. But long story short, toxins are very important, guys, and you need to work with a practitioner that can help you to understand, do a proper inventory of toxins. And guys, that's where you do an oxidative stress test. Okay, there's a lab that I really like called Vibrant. Hopefully your doctor works with this lab. And we can do a cardiovascular test to see all the genetic markers that you have that make you prone to oxidation. And we could also see the oxidative stress markers on your heart. So beyond doing ox-LDL, you could do another marker called Plaque, PLAC, which is a marker of also bad or cholesterol that's been oxidized, etc. But that's downstream. You don't really see what's causing the issue. So if you do this oxidative cardiovascular test, it allows us to see what's oxidizing indeed that cholesterol. Because again, cholesterol is not the culprit, guys. Cholesterol is not the culprit. It's these things that are oxidizing it. And the oxidation sucks. It destroys your health. And that's why redox therapies are so good for you, and they've been demonized all these years, but all these redox therapies are amazing for you, and those will include things like ozone. Some peptides could do that, micronutrients could do that, etc. But you got to know how to use this stuff. So hyperbaric medicine does that too. It's redox therapies that are really good to stop and reverse oxidation process, which then is what causes issues down the line. So you see what I'm saying? In the recipe for cooking the plaque, there's much more that meets the eye. It's not cholesterol. Okay. And I didn't even have time today to get into statins. We'll do a part 2 of this for sure. Just because there's so much more to say. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Actually telling you now, I will do a part 2 on heart health. We'll get into also a lot of young people having heart rhythm issues, AFib, people, with PVCs, which is their hearts skipping a beat. We're going to talk about all these other things. But guys, I hope this helped you today. Your heart, take care of it, and just stay tuned for our next episode, because I'm not even anywhere near done. All right. There's so much content to give you guys with this. And guys, don't believe a word I'm saying. Do your own research and take care of your heart. God bless you all.